the LAProbateExpert.com, and today is our Tuesday real estate investing Zoom.com, where we help investors, wholesalers, and agents make more income and build more wealth by investing in real estate. On the call weekly, we introduce investors who are having success, other vendors that can help bring you business, people doing it in other markets that you might want to take advantage of. Today, I'm really privileged to have first and foremost, a longtime personal friend. Second, a superstar real estate agent, just has been at the top levels for as long as I've known him. And third, and this is why he's on the call today, is a successful real estate investor who in the last year, I don't want to steal all the thunder, but I do want to get the headline out of the way, in the last year has purchased 4 investment properties out of the state of California. He's been an investor in California in the past, but because he wants to move or for whatever other reasons we'll talk about today, he's purchased 4, not 1, not 2, not 3, but how many? Real quick, somebody show me. 4 properties. There you go. Winston, thank you. 4 properties out of the state of California as an investment. So I'm really honored today to introduce again my close personal friend and real estate superstar, Wade Wright. How you doing, Wade?
I'm doing great, Bill. Thanks. I feel the same way about you, my friend. We've been friends. You've been a mentor for many years. So I appreciate your tutelage over the years as well as your friendship.
Thanks. So, and I appreciate my friendship too. So anyhow, okay, so hi, non-video participants. And so we'll see you there. We're going to hear you. So give me a little background. Where'd you grow up and how'd you get into real estate?
Yeah. So I grew up in the La Mirada area.
I didn't know that. Did I know that?
Went to La Mirada High School.
Did I know that?
You probably do.
I grew up in La Habra. Like La Mirada was like the big local city with a great mall and the great movie theaters.
Right. Yeah. Siblings. I have 5 siblings, so a big family, 6 kids. And I went to college when I was going to be a pilot at the time and grew bored of that. So from aviation, I went to work for UPS, paid for my college education. Then I had an uncle that was pretty wealthy in real estate, did well, and said, hey, why don't you come work for me and I'll teach you the real estate and get out of UPS. Well, I was moving up the ranks pretty quick and I was scared, but I was also excited. I was pretty money motivated. And so I quit my job at UPS. 6 months into it, my uncle's, we used to do a lot of distress sale. And he said, hey, I don't really have that much work for you right now, so I'm going to have to cut your pay in half. Yeah, I was like, what? I'm used to working hard and long hours. And so about 10 months later, he ended up firing me saying, you know what, I just don't have any more work. And I was like, okay. So I scrambled and got my real estate license. First thing, before I got my license, I called UPS back up and I said, hey, can I have my job back? And they're like, no, you can't. Once you get into management and you quit, that's it. We don't hire back. So I'm like, I better go find another career quickly. So I passed my real estate license and the rest is history. I was married. This is my second marriage. The first time I was married, my wife at the time, we moved to South Orange County because of all the new growth that was going on. We thought that would be a good place to start real estate.
So you've been in real estate for how long?
33 years. I had hair when I started, Bill.
I had more and mine was black. That counts for anything. So I go to the barber and I always say, what happened to my black hair? They can't even find it. I think they dye my hair gray when I get my hair cut. So great. You got into real estate and you've been a successful agent for a long time. Now, I don't want to get too personal here, but most real estate agents find no matter how much money they make in income, they're going to spend it on their business and personal life because it's tough to make and find it hard to accumulate wealth. Does that sound like at least a familiar story to you with other agents?
Yeah. I had a real bad marriage. We were very young when we got married and I married for all the wrong reasons. So I became a workaholic. I'd say that was probably my only saving grace. Maybe I wasn't the sharpest knife in the drawer, the smartest individual in the room, but I could outwork anybody. So I just went to work, stayed working late at night because I didn't want to go home. And so I was, doing pretty well. When I was at 40, I already had my first million in net worth, so I felt, okay, I'm moving up the ladder.
Yeah.
At age 50, I had acquired 8 rental properties, and I was, considered, I guess, a multimillionaire at that time. At age 51, I was flat broke. This was 2008, 2009. The market started really getting bad. I had all this debt. I think I had like $33,000 a month in debt, thinking that, good times are going to last forever. And then I found out that going through 8 years of court battles with my ex-wife, no children, that I found out that they go by lifestyle, not necessarily by money you have coming in. So they made me liquidate assets left and right, and just court fees, battles, and all that stuff. So real lesson number one that I learned, Bill, is choose your mate wisely. Don't rush it. Choose wisely.
Well, I'm married already. You're a little late with that advice, but fortunately, I married the right woman, so it's all worked out in that regard. So, like a lot of people, life happens.
Yeah.
And I know that you and I kind of reacquainted or kind of started working together more closely. But at the time, you told me that your goal was to start building wealth through real estate investment. And I think at one point, you showed me a program that you were sharing with customers, but you said to me, you're going to go out and buy some more property, and specifically outside of California. So talk about that process. Where did you get started in that process of looking for property outside California? Because it's difficult to find and to research and to feel comfortable, but you've done it. So how did you make that transition?
I think really the pain of not being able to retire had to become greater than the comfort that I had established just in making money. As I grew older, I realized I don't really have the energy that I used to have. So I started thinking about it, saying, you know what, I have to make a change here, and I have to make it quicker. Real estate's not a fast game. Obviously, the tortoise usually wins the race, not the hare. But at the same token, I said, with this knowledge that I've accumulated over the years and money I've helped clients make over the years, that I can implement those same principles. In South Orange County, where I work, the real estate, as you know, the prices are very, very high. I mean, even where you live is very high. And so, you can either buy cash flow or you can buy appreciation. And I said, you know what? Southern California is definitely an appreciation state, but when our median sales price is in that 900,000 point, now, and you need about 28, 29% to put down to even break even. It's like, I don't know about you, but I don't have $200,000 just setting aside for every deal. So that's when I started thinking about cash flow and saying, all right, well, let's work backwards with the end in mind. How much money do I really need to live on? Right. And so I did that. I went, okay, here's the cash. Here's how much I need to live a comfortable life. It's not extravagant, but to live a comfortable life. And then figure there's going to be probably 4% appreciation. Right now, it's much higher, due to the, outside events that's been taking place. But if I figure 4% inflation rate, so that dollar is losing its value every year at about 4% a year, I'm going to work backwards and say, what kind of a net worth do I need to establish, or what kind of income do I need to establish? So I start looking at rental rates, and I'm just like, my goodness, these rental rates are raising about 4 to 5% a year. And in several markets, that's happened for several years. Maybe healthy is, 2-3% a year increase in rent. But no matter how bad the economy is, no matter how bad the market is, Bill, rents are always going up. When people lose their houses, they got to go rent. What's the very first thing they're going to pay? I'm going to turn this mute off my phone because I'm getting some reverberation here. But people are always going to pay their rent first, right?
Right.
So I looked at that and I said, all right, real estate has so many different economic benefits that if I can get a break even or positive cash flow and say, when do I want to retire and how long do I think I'm going to live? I can just back it in that way. So that's what I did. I said, all right, I'm going to live till 90. I just turned 60, so I've got 30 years. If I can replace my income now as fast as I can, then I can just start paying off that debt. The first time that I accumulated real estate, I bought it and the market, the interest rates were higher. They weren't going down. They were higher at the time. They were just kind of floating there. And then after a couple of years, they started dropping. So what I was doing at the time is I would buy the real estate, hold it for a while, and then do a cash out refinance and go buy another property with it. So that was my strategy back then to accumulate, the 8 rental properties. What I realized is you do have to live within your means. I'm a big firm believer in a 30-year fixed rate loan, no adjustable rate mortgages because of cash flow, and we think that economy is going to stay good forever. I've become more conservative, I should say, less of a risk taker as I've gotten older.
Sure. How did you get to looking at actually investigating and doing, getting comfortable enough to actually write offers again, escrow on properties outside California? You live in Southern California. I know you've traveled a bit, but you don't have a second home in South Carolina. How did you get to feeling comfortable to buy property there?
I would say the very first thing that I did was I joined network clubs. There's so many of them. There's biggerpockets.com. There's multifamily investors. There's several Facebook groups, eXp Realty. I started talking to these experts in their respective field. And that's what I always say is educate yourself, align yourself with professionals and professional investment groups. Ask them, point blank, do you mind sharing with me how much real estate you own? How long have you been doing this? Because all due respect, I don't want to get advice, or I'm going to be a little bit leery of the advice that I receive for someone who's not investing themselves, right? They may be great for resources. Do you know a good lender, or do you know a good handyman or something like that? But when it really comes to managing money and making money, they're typically not going to have that knowledge base versus somebody that's been in the trenches, and said, I own multiple properties. Here's my theory, and here's why I do this, But I started researching and going along with these groups. I started finding areas where I look at some principal elements like schools, jobs, safe neighborhoods, where are all these jobs going? And then I just go out there and fly out there and deduct it. I have a LLC. I have an S Corp and a C Corp. And so I can deduct certain expenses. As a real estate professional, we have incredible advantages over some others. If you're in the business 750 hours a year, or half your time is spent in real estate, whether it's investing or a real estate professional, you have no limitation on your passive losses. So you can write off a ton. You can write off your trip. So I went out and started learning the areas and saying, I like this for those various reasons. And then then I started talking to several real estate professionals, learning the area. Then I went on to stuff like realtor.com. I'd run comparables, and I would set a parameter like, how much cash flow do I have to make based on my mortgage payment, my property taxes, my insurance, maintenance costs? How much money do I actually have to make as a form of a cap rate? So then I can just do the numbers and say, okay, I can't pay more than this price for this house. No emotions. I'm going to put it out there, call the real estate agent and say, write an offer on this for this amount. And they can either say yes, no, or, so I started getting them. You have to put out several offers to actually get ones that make sense, but they're out there. There's several, every market. It's not a matter of timing anymore. I've been putting on loans on all these properties because the money is so cheap. It's cheaper than inflation. It's free money. When that changes, when the rates go up, then I would say it'd be more of a cash buyer, maybe look at areas that are going to have much lower price points to cash flow nicely.
Okay, so hold on a second. Now, there's a lot of material here, and we're in this business every day. But let's go back and look at this from the other side of the equation. You said one thing that is interesting to hear you say, which is you have to put a lot of offers in to get one accepted. So what does that mean? How many offers do you put in to get one accepted?
Well, I think it depends a lot on the time that you have to research. In a market that's super, super hot, right? You don't have a ton of time. So you're going to have to rely on the boots on the ground, or these real estate agents. What information do they have? Is it in a great area? So specifically, what question would you have for me?
How many offers did you write before you got your first property?
So the very first property in the last year that I bought, I actually bought it on an auction. A lot of these states in the South, Northeast, a lot of them will have, even Midwest, they'll have these auction companies everywhere. And so I followed them online and started looking at properties that made sense. And then you can either bid on them online, but I like to first see the property that I'm going to bid on. So I just flew out there, educated myself, looked at a few properties. And the first one I lost, the second one I got, the third one I lost. And then I went to the builders during the pandemic. They were nervous. Nobody knew where the market was going. I guess I'm a contrarian at nature. I started buying a bunch of stock as soon as the pandemic hit, because I said, there's going to have to be a fix. They can't shut down the world too long. There's got to be a fix for this. So I started buying stock, and I started making money on that. So I took some of that money from the stock to buy some real estate with as well. And then I went to these builders where they were scared to death, and I tied up a couple properties that they had.
So let's go back to the auction. So you looked at 3, you bought 1. So the builders, how many builders you talked to before you got one to agree to lock up the property?
Probably about 6. A lot of the builders don't like.
Hold on, right there. I'm trying to look at this from the other side, because we're in this every day. So it's 3 auctions to get one. It was 6 builders to get one. I had a guest on here last week who's a professional investor full time, and he said he was embarrassed. He had to write as many as 5 offers on average to get one property. And so you're at 3 and 6. He's at 5. Like, that sounds to me, I want to kind of get you to focus on this one issue.
Yeah.
You're not going to get an offer every time you write an offer. A property is going to write an offer, correct?
No. And the beauty of it is, if you have that business mindset, there's no emotion. I mean, the realtors will try to get you all emotional. Oh, you better hurry. There's 5 offers on it. It's like, well, this is my offer. I'm sorry. It doesn't pencil out for me if I go above this number. I'm happy to buy it at this number. Here's my approval. Here's verification of money. I'm ready to go, but I can't go over this number. And that's it. If they say no, it's okay. Next. There's no real emotions involved. It's just numbers.
But you're going to look at a number of properties to find one you like. You're going to kiss some frogs before you find the prince.
Yeah. I mean, there's some of these guys on biggerpockets.com where they'll just go and they'll find 100 properties, write 100 offers, and they'll get one.
Right.
They're going to ask for a much higher cap rate. They're going to ask for a much higher cash on cash return. If you have that time, but honestly, with me, it's like yourself, I'm a full-time real estate broker. I work 10 plus hours a day. I don't have that time to write 100 offers just to make it a little more money. With inflation kicking in, I figured I'm going to more than make my goals to just, based on the numbers, my conservative numbers that I ran.
Okay. So you're writing about 5 offers per. You also mentioned that you had your financing lined up. Tell us about that. Was it a lender that you work with as well here in California? Was it a separate lender that you used?
No, I'm a firm believer in when in Rome, do as the Romans. So I went to the top agents and asked them, who's your lender of choice? Who's really good at investment real estate, understands it. And so they would give me a few leads. And after a while, some of these agents would give you the same person's name. So you knew you're onto something, like, all right, this person's obviously highly regarded. More people are using their services. Like the Pareto principle, 80-20, 20% of the people are doing 80% of the work. It's probably 90-10 now in our industry.
Yes. I think it's 595 actually. I think
really
in real estate, I think, the top 5% do 90% of the business and have a team beneath them that are doing that.
Yeah.
So what markets have you found to be attractive and have had some success with so far?
It's a hard question to ask, Bill, because honestly, you can make money in any market. You really can. I would say find out how much cash resources that you have available, and then go research the areas. I've done well in Huntsville, Alabama. I chose that area because there was a ton of new building going on, new businesses. Toyota put in a new factory along with Mazda, 50,000 employees. FBI headquarters moved there.
Space Center, huge space manufacturing.
They call that whole area Rocket City. So that was a no-brainer, but that is going on everywhere. I like Charlotte market a lot, Winston-Salem market a lot. I've owned real estate in Maui. I've owned real estate in Arizona, Las Vegas, obviously California. So honestly, I personally like areas that don't get too cold or too hot. Arizona and Las Vegas obviously gets really hot, but you don't have all the dry rot, fungus, termite damage, and all that stuff. That's just me. My model is as I've gotten older, it's more like single family homes, 4 bedrooms, and then look at rents. They have to be a certain number. Rents. I like a good school district, an up and growing area, maybe a higher per capita income in the area, but schools plays a real big part in different areas of the United States, especially in the South. There's a big difference on valuations and how quick you're going to rent the properties based on those areas.
It's interesting you say that because I'm here in Los Angeles and the schools is just not a big issue. But I know in real estate in general, they always emphasize knowing the school districts and which schools and such. And here in LA, so many people buy houses, send their kids to private school. It's just not the same. I'm not used to answering those kinds of questions. So
Bill, I just saw a chat come up from Winston Cummington. I know Winston, he's a great guy. He and I have been in business forever, like yourself. What did he say about Huntsville? I saw something there.
He owns several single-family homes in Huntsville, Madison County area of Alabama. Can I add my college roommate, or my college roommate is from Huntsville, is an attorney there today. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's good.
Hey, Winston, good to see your name, buddy.
Hey, good to see you too. Been a long time, Wade.
Yes, man.
I think
Huntsville been great for me too.
Awesome. Yeah.
So the main reason I invite you on, besides your friend I like talking to you, is I really want to give hope to the person who's never invested in real estate to get started and get jumped off. So I liken that first investment to be like standing on a high dive. Now I was a swimmer in high school, on the water polo team. And as a kid, we jumped off high dives, but I saw kids who had never done it. And they would get to the edge and freeze. And the longer you froze, the harder it was to jump. And I see real estate investors who want to get started, and they freeze and they research, they freeze, and they go on. What would you say to that person who, it's a good decision financially, they're really able to manage it, but they're scared? What would you say to encourage them to take the jump and get started on that?
I'd say that I've made every mistake under the sun and I'll make more, but the desire to win and be financially independent must be greater than the fear of not doing it and fear of loss. So the old saying, feel the fear and do it anyway. Don't be ignorant about it. Get your education, get involved in several of these groups, but go for it. The beauty of this market is you don't have to time it. There's no such thing as timing. We as professionals can kind of see that, all right, there's signs that the market's changing or shifting in this, but it really doesn't matter. I made more money probably during the tough times than the good times, because that's when sellers are walking away from their homes saying, here, take over my 3.5% fixed rate mortgage. If you give me $5,000 to pay for my moving van, I'm out of here. Here's the keys, right? Or somebody that's new that says, I got $5,000 to my name. I say, great, get together with a group, syndicate, crowdfund. There's several sites online, or even get in a group with somebody like Bill Gross and Wade Wright, where Bill Gross has probate properties. Would you say that you can find probate properties that are under the market, Bill?
We do. It takes, in LA, I think it takes a sophisticated investor, and you need to really partner with somebody who really knows what they're doing to make it work. So I could pair you up. If you're interested, I could pair you up with people, with the clients I'm sending properties to, for sure.
What happens if 5 guys each have $20,000, the house needs work, or 10 guys each have $10,000, and we say, all right, we're going to start a little partnership, right? The money's there. Everybody understands the rules, when you can get in, when you can get out. And then we bring it to you with proof of funds and proof that we can close. And you've got a family that says, the kids say, mom or dad died, and I don't want this house. And you facilitate it, right?
So I agree 100%. So let's get very specific here. So somebody wanted to get started. You suggested they look at some of the networks. One you mentioned is biggerpockets.com. has a podcast. They have a community, bulletin boards. I'm a paid member there. I already know what I do there. I just support what they do. They're great education, great material. And I spend $40 a month on something. I don't know how to get out of it, but I get some clients out of it actually. So it's not it's not a waste, but they're a great educational source. What other places would you recommend?
Multifamily masters, several Facebook groups. Anybody that's with EXP Realty has a group. I asked Winston what his groups are. I imagine, are you still with Coldwell Banker, Winston?
Yeah, Wade, I am, but I don't really get a lot of education for outside investing from them. Bigger Pockets and a group called Real Wealth has been really, really good for me. And they put on some great programs. They're not selling a bunch of junk. These are people out in the field that are walking the talk. They know what.
Real Rough. Can you?
Who?
What's the name of the group that you belong?
Oh, Real Wealth.
RUFF.
Yeah, RALWEALTH.
Okay, Real Wealth. Okay, there you go.
Those two have been the best for me.
Yeah, there's another group right there. I remember hearing their name before, but I never got involved with that group. So Bill, thanks Winston for sharing that. There's so many different areas, and I think somebody like Winston, you, myself, that's been doing this a long time is, we're survivors at nature, and there's always opportunities no matter what the market is.
Another one in rrealsuccess.com is another good one. And another one I would add in is LAREIC, LAREIC.com, Los Angeles Real Estate Investment Club.com. They had a big event on Sunday. I went to, 500 people were there, a bunch of vendors. It was fantastic. And then each of them, there's another company, rrealsuccess.com is another one. They have an event on Thursday that's free. You can sign up for as well. Local event in Santa Monica if you're on the west side.
Great, man.
So those are some good resources. I'll put them in the notes in our social media as well. Cool. So let me ask you another question, Wade. If I was a real estate investor, I had money to invest, and I wanted you to kind of help hold my hand along the way and get involved. Yeah. Actually, I do in Florida. I'm pretty focused my business plan in Florida in particular. If I want to get involved with you investing out of state of California, is that something you do? Do you take first-time investors through the process?
What I'm doing now is I am getting my license in Tennessee, so I'll have a market in both California and Tennessee. I'll also work the Carolinas market, Bill. So I will get. I'm leaning more toward investors now, just helping them, educating agents in the community to where I can bring them properties into California and say, here's what I found. Here's the arrangement that I've made with builders and investors throughout these areas. I'm going to pick about 4 or 5 areas that I'm going to master and really know better than most people. Instead of being a jack of all trades and master of none, just for the time's sake. So I can focus on those areas.
Nice. Okay, and then. If somebody wanted to get more information about you, where would they go? I imagine your website.
Probably the courthouse, the local jail, or the post office. See my picture up there. WadeWright.com, WadeWright.com.
Okay.
If you want to email me, it's Wade@WadeWright.com.
Okay.
Yeah, but I just say to whoever's out there worried, scared, excited, know that there's truth in this, but don't know where to start, I would say get involved in these groups, because I think it starts with your mindset. Yeah. You have to have that mindset that, I'm going to do this. I don't know exactly how I'm going to make it, but I'm going to educate myself. I'm going to surround myself by people who have done it. And I would say it's a lot of times it's just the good old boy that's in the plain looking clothes and a beat up truck. But he's wealthy or she's wealthy. And I would say, invite that person, take them to lunch, pay for lunch, tell them you want 45 minutes to an hour of their time, and have a list of questions and ask them those questions. You may never get those questions answered. I'd say let them talk, because they're going to just share their whole life story and the pearls of wisdom upon you. They're just going to give you more than you asked for, and then save those questions for somebody the next time, or maybe they will answer all or some of them. But I would say it's got to be a lifelong learning process. I started all over at 51. So, I look at some of the other people that are very successful, Colonel Sanders, Abraham Lincoln, all these people have had sequence events in their lifetime that was a redefining moment where they had to start all over. So I say, don't give up. Never give up, man, because tomorrow's a whole new day. And what doesn't kill you does make you stronger.
Like something like, who's that country singer? Whatever doesn't kill you make you stronger. Never mind, some high school pop singer. Okay,
Yeah.
Look, guys, here's a chance. The reason we do this, I know Wade, I talk to Wade every day. We're doing this call for you, the guy who's sitting here thinking, I want to invest in property, I want to build wealth for my family or myself, I want to get extra income, I want to have retirement with dignity. And I'm not really sure what to do, or I know most what to do, but I need some support. Here's your chance. Ask a question, put in the chat box. If you're online, and I'll put it in the comments there. If you're live, I'll catch it now and put it on. If you get it afterwards, I'll forward it to Wade. But here's your chance to talk to a real estate expert who's bought and sold and made a lot of money and lost some along the way and made it back again against all odds. It makes a tremendous income in sales. Deals with buyers and sellers every day. So if you're interested, unmute yourself and jump in, raise your hand, or throw something in the chat box. I'd be more glad to call on you. So let me ask this, Wade. Oh, got a hand up. Okay, hold on a second. I forget who it is. Maisha Brown, your hands up.
Hey, how you guys doing? Can you hear me?
Maisha?
Hey, thanks you guys so much for sharing all your experience and knowledge. I really, really appreciate that. I just have a question. I have a question because I'm licensed in California and I travel. Right now I'm in Las Vegas, and I'm thinking about getting my Las Vegas license. And what you said resonated with me, how you had to start over at 51 after you had reached so much success. And it reminded me of that Maslow's hierarchy of needs triangle, where you have like your physiology, and then you have like your, security and your esteem needs, and then your self-actualization. And it seemed like when you were 51, you reached your self-actualization, and then you went back down all the way back to what? Esteem? I mean, it was kind of like a physiological thing because you said you were in debt. So that means, like you said, people pay their rent first. So you couldn't even pay your rent, right? And so like getting a license in Tennessee, do you think that would be more productive than just expanding in your current market, just meeting more people and just focusing on the clients that you have? Because you were saying that you work 10 hours a day already. So like, do you think that that'll burn you out, or do you have somebody helping you with your strategies and schedules? Like, how would you accomplish that?
I love it. That's such a great question. So for me, I'm slowing down instead of ramping up. So I have the money that I need to live the lifestyle that I want to live, Maisha. So my goal is to have a second home in Tennessee so that I can go back and forth between Tennessee and California. So, my months off, my vacation times, those will all be in Tennessee. So I have over 1,100 past clients here in California. So fortunately, I built that up over the years to where people now come to me, so I don't have to really be banging on the phones like I did for many, many years. If I stay in touch with them, I'm pretty much guaranteed a lifestyle that'll enable me to live, the lifestyle that I want to live. But there's a point in time where I'm going to just say enough and want to cash in my chips, and just say, I really don't want to work these hours to live this lifestyle. And that's why having the real estate and the vehicles, the tax advantage vehicles behind it, will enable me to say, hey, at that point, you talk about self-actualization. I will decide on who I want to be and what I want to do at that point. I thought you may say, yeah, you look pretty good on paper and look like you got it all together, Wade, but Maisha, I really didn't. I didn't have a marriage together, and I was out of kilter. I was all work, and I didn't have a balanced life. I'm a Christian. God is my priority, and my wife is my second priority. I remarried after 5 years of being separate, single, and we have a good marriage. So after I have that income, I don't have to sell real estate to live the lifestyle I want. Who knows? Maybe my whole attitude will change, and I'll be like, "Hey, this is fun." I want to help every realtor out there to make it. Because to me, there's nothing more frustrating than see real estate professionals who's given their whole life to this profession, and then they end up having nothing at the end. I mean, it breaks my heart. And I know a lot of great people who are great agents who are older now, and they work because they have to, not because they want to.
And it shows in the way they approach it, and their attitude.
Yeah.
You can tell. We talk to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question, or did I go off too much, Maisha?
Yeah, I was looking for, I guess I was probing, like to see like what kind of team you have to help you reach your goals. Like, do you have a strategist, or is this all you?
No, I would say I've been always one of those guys that I had to learn from the school of hard knocks. I read a lot of books and all that, but honestly, I'm still one of those guys that I have to try it out on my own. I wish I was the guy that didn't have to reinvent the wheel, but unfortunately my personality is like, okay, I'm hearing what you're saying, but let me go out and try it on my own. And so I would say you don't have to do that as I get older. I don't have the energy that I used to have. That align yourself with professionals. So I love education. I love being around. Bill Gross and I talk to each other for 5 minutes Monday through Friday, because just accountability call to help us reach our year-end goals. So that's why we're on the phone together. Having yourself, if you have your why is an interesting thing, because your whys change, right? It may sound really strong when you start your goals for the year, for those of you who actually set goals, but there's sometimes the why is, I just want it, damn it, because I want it. I just feel better about myself if I reach that goal. Not, it's because I'm going to save the world or something profound. There's got to be that burning desire inside of you that says, I want a better life for my family. I want a better life for myself, or I want to be able to philanthropy. I want to be able to give to God and my church. Like when we get out of ourselves and we find something that's actually bigger than us, and kind of dream, well, what if I did do that? How can I make a footprint on this earth in the short time I'm here? And that's when you really do need people around you. You realize that no man or woman is an island. It's like we really do need each other to get to that next level. Sometimes I could go in a class all day long and get nothing, and then all of a sudden the pearl of wisdom comes out, and I could take that and implement it, and it makes me money.
Yeah. That one thing, it's amazing how I can listen to somebody get one thing, but that one thing I can take a long way, which is a big advantage. Paul Crouch, you had your hands up. How you doing, Paul?
I do. Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Wade. I've enjoyed your conversation today. And, Wade, something I was just curious about your experience when you were putting good debt on properties outside of California. Was it your experience that shopping locally for your loan options, did that seem to be more effective or any different than, say, working with someone who might be living in Orange County that just happened to be a nationwide loan person?
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about how that's gone for you?
Sure. Hi, Paul. Again, I really I've done the loan depots, I've done the Quickens, and they may have great loan rates at the time, but usually their service is terrible. I'm sorry, but they have that big box shop mentality. The underwriter processors, a new one is assigned to each loan rep, so they don't know, like, wow, I had a good one on my last loan. Now this next one is terrible, So I think a lot of it has to do with relationship. I'm all for shopping, Paul. Like, you find a lender that's a local lender to that market. A couple of realtors have referred you to him or her, and they're sharp, but their loan fees are a little higher. And I have no problem saying, look, I hear you're a pro. I know you're going to get the job done and in the time that we need to do it. However, I have a rate quote from this person over here. Can you match or beat that number?
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, Paul, they'll beat it. And so I wouldn't put all my coals in one fire, your pokers in the fire. I would definitely put multiple pokers in the fire and say, what do you have? I'd love to establish a relationship, but here's what I've been quoted by somebody else.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Very good. While we're on the call here, just a quick shout out to you, Wade. I know as a colleague of yours at DXP that you recently have been offered to apply for status as an icon at DXP Realty.
Thanks, buddy. That's you, the one that kind of introduced me to the EXP concept and coached me and encouraged me to make that shift from a large company that was also the franchise concept, multi-level structure. And so I made that shift, and it was a good decision for me, especially the stock that's been awarded and all that. But thank you for that accolade. Teamwork makes the dream work.
I think that teamwork makes the dream work. Okay, let's see. I have Maisha, another question, hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I had a question about the fact that you work with all these other professionals, right? So if you're just a real estate broker, have you ever, or would you, do you think that being a real estate broker and then also like being a loan person or, being a loan person, like a mortgage loan originator, do you work with people that do both, or do you do both, or do you think that people should just focus on the other?
Yeah. Misha, me personally, based on my talents, my IQ, I have ADD for one, so my attention span is not as great as others would be. I have a tendency to multitask all the time, but I honestly believe in that adage, jack of all trades, master of none. I don't think you could be great at being a lender and a real estate professional. I think you can save money on your own deals if you happen to have your NMLS license and you're saving money doing that. Yeah, that's fine. That's good business sense. But candidly, I really, to get great, to be what do they say, to be a professional, Bill, you have to have a minimum of 10,000 hours in any field.
Yeah.
Be an expert.
I would agree with number one that to be great at something, you make a lot more money being great than you do being good or very good.
Yeah.
And when I was a lender, I was doing some sales and I made the switch and gave up mortgages for that exact reason. And I'll just share with you, I still have my MLS license. I have an insurance license. Don't do any of that stuff. I don't think a week goes by that somebody doesn't call me with a great additional way I can make money. As recently as today, a couple of guys, you can refer loans and make a lot of money and this and that. Yeah. And here's the thing I can tell you. Nobody's ever told me to do that made more money than me.
Yeah.
That's the thing Grant Cardone taught me was, if somebody's giving you advice, if they make more money than you do, pay attention. And if they don't, the reason why these agents that call me are struggling, I have agents who I know are doing about a deal or two a year. You tell me I need to do mortgages. And I try to be respectful. I believe I'm respectful. But the truth is, the reason why they're not doing more is they're not committed to doing more. And I think that's the challenge.
Yeah.
At the numbers that Wade's doing, and even I'm doing, not as much as Wade, but even little me, I can't do as much as I do, doing two things, learning two sets of guidelines and rules and regulations and all that. It's just complicated enough. So it's a great question, Maisha. It's one I get asked all the time, and I try to be polite, and then they'll come back and try to close me 3 or 4 times. It's like, I just want to say, let's do this. Let's compare tax returns. If you make more than me, I'm in. If you don't, please don't. But it doesn't really work that way.
That's good. Misha, I'm a firm believer in being an expert in your field. So
yes.
Like some people will say, okay, I'm a commercial broker and I only work multifamily, or I only do retail, and that I appreciate. With me, with real estate, I understand creative financing because I've been doing this since '88. I've been through 3 different cycles So I've had to, for survival reasons, I had to learn, to earn the income that I wanted to earn. I had to learn what was needed at the time. I did over 120 short sales back in that 2008, 2009, 2010. I mean, it was a terrible time, but I was making good money when other agents were really struggling because I learned to adapt. It's still real estate, but it was definitely a niche. It was a new skill set that I had to learn. In the 90s, I did REOs. I think Winston and I both did. Winston, didn't you do REOs as well, buddy?
Yeah, that kept me alive from late 2007 well into last year. I did my last 3.
There you go. Yeah, same here. I had a Fannie Mae account back in 1998, Chase Bank. I mean, so Maisha, it was still real estate, but at the time, we wore these specialty hats. I did equity shares back when 89, when the market slowed down, 89, 90. I would help people. I would, show them how they could get out of their home, the sellers, and buyers that didn't have much money. I'd say, well, how about this? I'll give you half ownership. I'll give you the money for the down payment. We'll go 50-50. And they'd go, yeah, let's do that. But then I learned about when the market tanks and nobody puts money into the deal, if it's easy for them to get in, it's easy for them to get out. So I had all these notes and half ownerships from people walking away with property that wasn't worth anything. So, but again, it was trial and error at the time,
I also think that, we've all heard the person introduce himself and say, well, I'm a real estate agent. I do first-time home buyers, investors, commercial multifamily, bridges, rivers, lakes, streams, loans. I do this. Right. And in your mind, you're saying, well, they'll do anything.
Right. Yeah. What do you really do?
And my coach is Don Hobbs, who's a sponsored XP as well as the president of Success Magazine. And he has a great program called The Brand Is You. What he told me was, when you focus on one thing in your marketing, your branding, people think of you when that thing comes up. You might do other types of real estate as a salesperson. Yeah. I do other sales besides just probate, but I got those deals because I'm a probate expert and people remember me. They go, well, I know you do probate, but do you do collections real estate? Yeah. Do you do bankruptcy real estate? Yeah, I do. Could you sell my house? Yeah, I could sell your house. The focus is also on the branding, the marketing. And so I think it's important that when you're in the business, you focus your energy in one direction. If you can pick up pieces and do a good job opportunistically, I think it's great. But you have to be really careful that you're not distracting your prospective customers with multiple angles of attack.
That's great. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for that.
Sure,
yes, because our industry is so wealthy with information, education, networking opportunities. I mean, I am a member of the Center for Realtor Development, so I've taken umpteen classes there. You know what I mean? Resort second property specialist, moving with pets, et cetera, et cetera. Right. And my niche when I was going to school for real estate was to do international and luxury real estate and work with stars and celebrities and millionaires and billionaires. But my first sale was a dentist's office, which is commercial. And then from going to the networking events and, getting all the information, I got with the commercial real estate investment strategy professionals and all that. And then I, got into commercial and residential, and then I got some vacant land to sell in California City, which, the price values were down and all that. So it's just like, I'm where you're at. I feel like I'm where you're at when you were 51. Like I did all this education. I did all this networking. You know what I mean? Like I participated in all this stuff and I closed one dentist office. Right. And I listed some vacant land in California City that didn't sell. And now I have a $97.5 million opportunity to sell commercial retail. I have an opportunity to own commercial retail property in the Beverly Hills Golden Triangle for $97.5 million that I'm promoting, looking for a buyer for. And I've had 2 buyers turn in an NDA and proof of funds. And the sale still didn't fly. So I'm still looking for people, but it's those now I look at them as little. It's those little deals, like a house or something else it's like those in between deals. Like I got the low one and I got the high one, but the in between is like I still got to fill that in.
Right.
So
I
this
think,
this
I
this
think that's a really
communication with
good
you guys
point.
is really helping me.
Well, we're here to help, and that's
Yeah.
awesome. I think anybody that's been doing this a long time can attest. You have to do smaller deals as well to pay your bills, and then you go after the large ones. You know, the old hunting analogy. You know, you have to hunt a lot and shoot a lot of rabbits before you can hunt an elephant. You know, I'm not a hunter. I love animals, but just that analogy is that there's more rabbits are more plentiful than elephants. You know, so yeah, it's great that you're working on a big deal, but know that you still have to do the other stuff
Right.
until you have that income to really, you know, and go to school and get your specialized knowledge. But that's awesome. You know, good.
You know, I was just last week on mentoring a student who had a high-end property in Beverly Hills with a very high-end real estate office, one of the biggest in the country. And the broker got involved with me on a deal. And it was a really fundamental mistake they made on the contingencies. And they don't really know the right answer. They're focused on marketing and image. And the social media game is so A game and all that. But they don't know the difference between qualifying for a loan and the buyer waiving the loan contingency.
Yes.
The buyer's agent's on the phone crying to me, and the broker is writing these nasty emails because he doesn't know what he's doing. At the end of the day, I know that because I do a lot of deals, a lot of smaller ones, but you get good at it doing a lot of deals, and that's the value that sometimes this business brings. Okay, we're going to wrap up. Wade, as we wrap up here, again, let's talk to the person who's right at the edge, ready to jump in, ready to make a life transformation. What would you say to them to encourage them to take the next step, wherever that is for them, whether it be get a property or reach out to a network or read the book or open a podcast and listen and really learn rather than just listen in the background? What would you recommend that person do to make that transformation, change their mindset?
Thanks, Bill. Find professionals in a group. Be willing to be open and transparent. You know, make sure they're safe people, of course, but if you feel that they're safe people, be willing to be transparent and tell them where you're at, right? Like, here's where I'm at and here's what I want to achieve. Can you help me? Or what advice would you give to somebody like me that has this much money to invest? You know, here's how much money I need to live on. Here's how much I have coming in. Do you have an opportunity for me? Because I'm learning now, I don't know if you've noticed this as well, but it seems like over the last 5-10 years, there's so much fake information out there. Like 10 years ago, if I wanted to Google something to get knowledge on it, I can Google it and it had pretty good information. Now I can Google it and it's somebody that's just hypothetically throwing something out there that makes 0 sense. I don't know what happened to our knowledge, you know, so I say you have to really get into these groups and ask those questions. You know, may I ask how many transactions have you done, or what do you own? You know, I don't own anything. But I want to mentor. I want to, you know, maybe I can offer you some of my, you know, I'm willing to work or go bang on doors for you, or you know, evict a tenant if you've got something where I can do a deal with you. You know, find something that you have value. It could be somebody that has good computer skills or marketing, or is willing to make calls, or you know, and say, is there anything I can do? You know, here's my talents that I can do, that we can team up on something to help me get my foot in the door. And you'd be surprised. A lot of times it's these good old boys that have a lot of money and they just want recognition. You know, we're all motivated different ways. You know, they might just want a friend, you know, somebody that'll listen to them and let them tell impart their pearls of wisdom, you know.
Great insight. Thank you. And I'm going to wrap up here. Wade, thank you as a friend. Thank you so much for being here as a colleague in business. I really appreciate you. And you know, one thing just as I wrap up, we do this every Tuesday at 3:00 for the new investors. If you're an experienced investor, to meet some new people, to mentor them, to give the gift of mentorship and helping somebody else and teaching them how to fish for the rest of their lives. I don't sell any coaching. I don't sell any data or any programs. I don't get affiliate income. I do this to help people build their business. I enjoy getting colleagues like Wade and other real estate professionals here to try to help you along the way. So we can help. Come back Thursday. I do a class, probateweekly.com, and Tuesdays at 3:00 we do real estate investing, zoom.com. If you put comments in the chat box, I'll do my best to respond. We do this every week, and I really appreciate you guys. Next week, I'll be at the EXP National Convention. We'll stream live, and I'm going to get a couple of guests there to jump on and have some fun with that as well. So we'll see you Thursday for Probate Weekly. If not, we'll see you next week. Make this